You said in an interview that I read that you must always have belacan in the fridge. And I was like, did he just say belacan? Belacan is like a shrimp paste
Yeah.
that is really stinky. And we're in Finland.
And then the other thing that I really love to like show people here is ikan bilis, so anchovies, sun-dried anchovies. I would just bring it to, like, for example, my workplace.
Yeah.
And if there's someone new, up fry it. And we've never had this. This is crazy. This is amazing.
It's very difficult for me to kind of, how do I say, separate myself as a fee and as somebody who is with the embassy, right? Because whatever I cook, it's, for example, right, if you go to a market and there's only one stall that sells Malaysian food, what do you choose?
When you have to represent Malaysia, then you're like, what dish am I going to make?
Why, hello there, food lovers, and welcome to The Hungry Immigrant, the place where flavors cross borders and cultures unite. I'm your host, Abang Brian, coming to you with stories, secrets, and the irresistible charm of Asian cuisine and heritage. Each week, we'll journey into the heart of what makes food more than just a meal. We'll talk to chefs, celebrities, home cooks, and food enthusiasts who have brought their heritage to our tables. From the bustling streets of Kuala Lumpur to the vibrant markets of Manila and Seoul to the Chinatowns of New York, Paris, and Toronto, we're exploring the magic of food that connects us all. So join us as we delve into the rich tapestry of Asian food culture and heritage, celebrating the traditions and innovations that make our culinary world so diverse and exciting. Now, get ready as today's episode promises to be a flavorful journey. We are here in Helsinki, in Finland, of all places. I am here actually, this is a confession. This is a true confession of this Malaysian boy. I'm here actually with my sister on this mission to really tell the Asian food stories. And obviously, one of the Asian food stories that I really hold true to my heart and it's very close to my heart is the Malaysian story, right? So I started Googling, honestly, are there Asian people in Finland?
Oh my goodness.
I Googled that and then I started looking around and then I saw, hey, we have the Embassy of Malaysia. And so I reached out to the Embassy of Malaysia, Jare from the Embassy of Malaysia. Big shout out to the Embassy of Malaysia for really helping me out. I basically said, can you please connect me to some Malaysians? Long story short, here we are. So I am here with a chef and a bigger chef at home. I think maybe you want to tell our audience a little bit about yourself, Chef Bu, and also Phi.
Well, a Malaysian living here in Finland. I've been here for 11 years. And yeah, I'm a professional chef. I work in a restaurant called Lucy in the Sky. I'm the head chef there. And I've been doing this, like being in the line for 12 years
Chef, yes.
now.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was studying in France in Le Cordon Bleu, graduated from there and started my career here in Finland. Yeah.
Okay, so from Malaysia to Paris to Finland, how did that?
Well, Paris was always my dream. Like that was my goal. I'll finish high school and get into Le Cordon Bleu and go to school. From then on, it was just like, okay, we'll see what comes. I finished school and I had a bunch of friends who were from school, who were from Finland as well. So I came to visit once while I was still in school, and then I was like, this is super nice. I'm gonna move here.
Yeah.
And then I just did that. Just moved, came over, found a job, started living, and then the next thing you know, it's 11 years later, still here.
Wow. Yeah. And also we have Phi. So Phi's story is a little bit more, also very, very interesting, right?
Yeah, I am here, I guess, in the capacity of the spouse of Arif. So I'm here as a spouse of the staff of Malaysian Embassy. I am a home chef. I'm not professionally trained. I was, instead of Le Cordon Bleu, I was trained in my grandmother's kitchen. In my mother's kitchen. And then under the pressure of cooking for hundreds of people who come to the embassy for Hari Raya, stuff like that. So that is how.
Oh, so you cook for like the events at the embassy?
Yes, it can be quite
really well.
surprising. It can be very surprising. A lot of the embassies around Malaysia, because we don't have access to catering services that can provide authentic Malaysian food, or maybe like it's too expensive, for example, right? So a lot of times the women, the spouses of the embassy staff are the ones who cook. So yeah, like for myself, I've cooked for maybe 200 people, but like in other places, they have cooked for thousands of people as well.
Wow.
It really
It's
kind
like
of
gotong
depending,
royong style.
yeah, kind of
Like,
depending on how big or who the audience is.
Merewang, right?
Yeah, yes,
We cook
Merewa,
together and
Gejubus, yeah.
And then while we peel the onions, we have this term in Malaysia that we say membawang.
Yeah.
Yes.
Festival of bawang.
So
I think that's the most fun part when you're like doing it together.
Yeah.
The prep and you're just like chatting and getting at it.
Well, that's very different in the kitchen, though.
Yeah.
But then I still have I feel still I still have that home side of me.
I
So I don't
see.
bring my professional life at all back home. So when I cook at home, then I cook like grandma style. I'm like,
Exactly
yeah.
where we're going to go with the next question is your whole journey throughout your life. How does that affect your identity with food? How does it affect your philosophy with food? Because you're Malaysian,
Yep.
But you went to Cordon Bleu, so you're French trained. You're Malaysian, now you're living abroad. You're talking about cooking Malaysian food in a land that, I don't know, is there like lemongrass here? Is there?
Yeah, you can get quite a lot of the ingredients these days. We do have quite a huge Asian market at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So ingredients are very much more available.
I
than
just haven't
previously
found
was.
bunga kantan,
Yeah,
ginger
that's
peach, and dong
yeah.
kunyit.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
Ah.
those two you can't still get.
Turmeric leaves.
Turmeric leaves and
But they don't, all
was-
these things, they don't grow in the Nordic
They
region.
don't.
Yeah.
So I mean, the majority of the products that we get in from the Asian companies are brought through Amsterdam, Spain,
And
Germany.
Yeah.
So sometimes Sweden, because they have a huge Asian community there.
Yeah.
So we do get the products in. It's just a lot harder. So for example, water spinach kangkong.
Ah.
Yeah, that was, if you talk about 5 years ago, it was insanely expensive.
Like how
Like
expensive?
what it was like, if I remember correctly, it was like €3 for like 200 grams.
Oh
And
my
if we all know how it goes
1,500.
with kangkong, when you cook like a whole huge bunch, you get
This
nothing.
much,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's called water
So-
spinach for
Yeah, exactly. So if you pay like over €2 for a bag of 200 grams of water spinach, it's not even for one person.
Yeah.
But yeah.
In terms of your origins, you
Mhm.
have also some Jawa, Banjar.
Yes. My mother's side of the family is Jawa. My dad's side of the family is Banjar.
So give context to our audience who may not know Malaysia and where Malaysian, Indonesian, Jawa is. How does this work in Malaysia?
So like as you know, Malaysia before this we were what we would call the Nusantara. We in Indonesia, Singapore, Brunei were all together, right? So and the migration patterns before the advent of Malaysia was that a lot of people from the Jawa island or from Banjarmasin in Indonesia, they came to the peninsula of what is now Malaysia and they settled there. So there are parts of Malaysia that have large communities of Jawa. For example, in Bagadatuk, that's where my mom's family is from. I'm sure there are many other places as well, but like from the top of my head, that's where, because my family's from there. And then the Banjar community, a lot of them are in Teluk Intan, intermarry and stuff like that. So yes, it's a very big influence on how my family cooks.
Right. So for the audiences who are listening to us on the podcast, audioly, if you can't imagine what we're talking about and geographically where it is, make sure you check out our video. Before we go to the next question about Malaysia, you have Indian roots as well. So do you see that Sri Lankan?
Yeah.
Do you see that being a part of the way you cook at home?
Absolutely. I mean, growing up, especially with mom and grandma, the kitchen was always, there was someone there. There's always food being made. And the thing with our family is that we tend to talk, with breakfast, we're talking about dinner. At lunch, we're talking about tomorrow's breakfast. And it just goes on. It's like you're full, but you're still talking about what's the next meal, what food we're going to make. We're like Malaysians, but with Sri Lankan heritage. My grandma is from northern Sri Lanka herself. And so we made like typical Sri Lankan food. But since she's been living in Malaysia for so long, she also picked up all the Malaysian dishes and Chinese food and Malay food, and we would have all of those at home as well. So we're always surrounded by food in the house. That's how we grew up.
But do you see that Sri Lankan influence or that Malaysian influence for you cooking and
Yeah, it definitely does.
You said in an interview that I read that you must always have belacan in the fridge. And I was like, did he just say belacan? Belacan is like a shrimp paste that is really stinky. And we're in Finland.
I use it a lot. I think just a friend of mine just came from Malaysia and I was, hey, I'm a bit low on belacan, so the shrimp paste. And she's like, yeah, it's okay. I got you half a kilo. I'm like, beautiful. Thank
Oh
you.
my
It's like,
goodness.
it's a key thing. And then the other thing that I really love and love to like show people here is ikan bilis. So anchovies, sun-dried anchovies. Everyone's used to in Europe having anchovies in oil or
Yeah.
some sort of version of that. And I'm like, yeah, but we have it completely different. So I would just bring it to, like, for example, my workplace.
Yeah.
And if there's someone new up fried, and they're like,
Oh,
we've never had this. This is crazy. This is amazing. I'm like, yeah. So it's like try to introduce them to the ingredients that we have as well. I've got a whole freezer closet filled with Malaysian stuff.
Wow. And the type of food that you cook at Lucy is...
Lucy, we do modern bistro, so we do classic food from around the world with a twist. We try to keep it as classic as possible, but we do have this adding some twist. That's usually the Asian touch comes into it, or then my French training comes into.
And do you see the Jawa and the Banja influence in... Give us an example of how the Jawa and Banja actually influence your kind of cooking.
Jawa food.
Yeah, what is Jawa food?
Jawa food,
Or
like
Javanese food,
macam, it's like, have you had sambal goreng, which is basically tempeh, melted soybeans, soybean cake with glass noodles, with anchovies, with peanuts, and then there's like a glaze, this really yummy, spicy, sweet glaze. So that is like a staple of the Jawa food that my family eats, and also a lot of Jawa food incorporates chico. I'm not sure what it is in English.
I actually googled that once. I can't remember.
Because it's a rhizome, and the leaves kind of look like shorter kunyit leaves, like turmeric leaves. But it has a very distinct flavor, and we sometimes eat it as ulam, as like a salad. Just eat it with the sambal belacan, the shrimp paste sauce. We have that, but it's also incorporated into our fried vegetables, or like there's this dish that I love so much, and my grandmother who's passed, she used to make when she was able to, which is catfish. It's cooked in this like amazing gravy of coconut milk and chiku, and it's just you can't stop eating it. It's so good. I'll make it for you if I ever find it.
I'll just have to bring it back from Malaysia.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, and doesn't the embassy get like there's this thing like a special parcel? Can you get special parcels? I don't know.
It's this. I think it's this like myth, right? That's what we always hear, that the embassy gets all sorts of shipments and they can have whatever they want. But then I've been with like part of the embassy and with them, and I'm like, oh, so you get all your ingredients? Like, no, we go to the normal store.
Yeah. We
then it's our own supply.
The same Asian store, or because we have like a lot of guests who do come, so they become our mules.
Yeah.
So they have to bring bunga kantan, ginger torch in one suitcase.
So that's secretly why when I came to Finland, I didn't tell any Malaysian that come in here, because it's such a Malaysian. But I did bring you something that is from Malaysia. This is like 10 minutes into the conversation, and you've already heard us mention the word sambal a lot. And that is, I think, one of the things that's very iconic about Malaysia. This is one thing that I'm trying to explain to the world, right? What is Malaysian food? What is Malaysian?
It's really hard to explain.
Yeah, hard to explain.
It takes so long, and I'm always like struggling. I'm like, I don't even know how to put it in words.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if you actually say Malaysian food, then it covers all the different types of Malaysian food, and it's basically endless if you think about it. I always say that we use a lot of anchovies. We do use chilies, garlics, and onion, but I feel like our flavors are very balanced. If you look at sambal alone, we've just got so many types. Like some people like it, like they say the sweet spicy. So you get it sweet first, then it's spicy. Some people don't like it spicy at all. So there's like all these different types. It's like I'm always struggling to like explain to them. So I just tend to make the food. I'm like, okay, here. Like someone kept talking about laksa Sarawak.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I have to make the whole paste. That's going to take time. So the last time I went back, I got laksa Sarawak paste and then just made it. And here, now you know what it is.
But even that, with all the condiments that goes with laksa Sarawak,
and then all the different versions that you have of laksa. Because then when you tell someone about laksa, they start Googling and they're, oh, wait. But which one are you talking about? I'm like, okay, this is from this region. This is from this.
Do you have a way to like define sambal?
I would say I would call it a basic component, but it's something that is quite versatile. You can it can be a base for something else like mee goreng, like fried noodles, you use sambal as a condiment for nasi lemak, for example. And then there's the way you make the sambal. Sometimes it can be cooked down, sometimes it's fresh, sometimes it's just, literally just garlic and soy sauce and some lime and you're done. You have like fried bananas with that, and that's like a Malaysian experience in itself.
And all the different versions that you have. Like as you
Yeah.
said, the one that it's fresh or it's cooked or
Yeah.
That's actually a dream of mine, to write a cooking book just on sambal.
That would be cool though, to have a book on sambal. Because then you would be able to because there is so many types.
Yeah.
Besides sambal, what do you think, how would you describe Malaysian?
Because like for us, I mean, it's a big sigh because for us, it's very difficult for me to kind of, how do I say, separate myself as a fee and as somebody who is with the embassy, right? Because whatever I cook, it's, for example, right, if you go to a market and there's only one stall that sells Malaysian food, what do you choose?
When you have to represent Malaysia, then you're like, what dish am I going to make? Because you can't make all of it. Or then you want to make a selection, because if you're saying you're representing Malaysian food, you can't just make like, okay, roti canai. That doesn't make it. You can't just make nasi lemak. It's,
it's more than that.
There's more than that.
So for us, usually it's, because if I were to think about it that way, it would be something like satay and peanut sauce. Or nasi lemak. Or nasi ayam, chicken rice, or I don't know, what do you call nasi lemak in English?
Rice.
Okay. So nasi is rice, lemak is fatty, and lemak actually, even the word lemak, refers to a lot of different things. But in general, when we say lemak in Malaysia, it refers to coconut milk. I think in general, the one dish that everyone will say when we talk about Malaysia is nasi lemak.
Nasi
but
lemak.
for people who don't know, because I have family from, I don't know, Tennessee. Was like, what is nasi lemak? So it's this fragrant coconut rice with sambal. Some eggs, some fried anchovies, like cucumbers. So it's one of the national dishes. I have this problem with calling something a
national dish.
Again, as a Malaysian, like if you want to say that what's our national dish, then there's so many dishes that you would choose as well.
Do you agree that nasi lemak is the national dish of Malaysia?
It's my favorite, so yes.
There you go.
I make it like all the time.
Next guy.
I know, but it sucks.
How about you?
Oh man, I don't want to agree, but I do think it's nasi lemak.
Okay.
Sorry. What would you say?
Yeah, what would you say?
I mean, like,
that's why I have guests.
So you don't have to take the commitment.
and just disagree.
But I think, nasi lemak is something that is the pride of the country. But I think that, like you said, there is no one Malaysian dish that is. But I think in general, everyone eats nasi lemak, and like all times of day.
Yeah, it's available all the time. It's
everywhere
something you
you
eat in
go.
school as a kid.
Yeah, every town you go to, you will find a nasi lemak stall.
Yeah.
So I feel that's why it becomes quite representative.
What's your earliest memory of nasi lemak?
Oh my God, I'm very sure that a lot of people will share this, but like going to school, right before school, you have to stop by the auntie who sells nasi lemak right next to the school gate. Buy that's your lunch. Or if you didn't have breakfast at home, you have it. You buy the nasi lemak wrapped in the banana leaf. At that time, still banana leaf. And then you bring it to your class, and then you sit down. You put down your bag. You put your nasi lemak on the table. No way to stop the oil from going out of the banana leaf. And you open it and you wash your hands. You eat with your hand, and like that's your day set. For me, that is the epitome of my Malaysian experience. I feel growing up in Malaysia.
I can relate to that as well. For me, it's the same. It was school.
Besides nasi lemak, traditional practices or dishes that you feel is crucial that we preserve?
Because I'm a mom, so I have 2 children, and because in our lifestyle, we move every 3 years. We're moving, we're in a different country. So for me, the way I see that the preservation of my culture is, what is it that I want my children to bring with them? Because I feel my children, they live a pretty different life from what I did, right? Because I just stayed in Malaysia, and but my children, they see Malaysia like for like in snippets of times, throughout their life. So the parts of it that I want them to understand is how Malaysian food connects them to their grandparents, connects them to their aunties, to their uncles, and how it makes them unique. When you're in a sea of people from different nationalities, right? What is it that you want that defines you? And like for my children now, they take up cooking like once a week. So I have two children. So one of them cooks on Monday, one of them cooks on Thursday. And usually they cook like simple stuff. Like you said, it's because Malaysian food can take a lot of time to cook, like the sambal. Sometimes you just want to make fried noodles, but oh my God, the sambal takes 30 minutes. So what I do is I pick and choose things that really do define Malaysia, like ayam goreng kunyit, like turmeric fried chicken. That's very easy actually, right? For the children to make. They know how to make laksa Penang, because my husband is from Penang, and it's something that really connects them to their culture as well. When they go home, they don't look for nasi lemak, they look for laksa. So that's what they
their
want,
relation to it.
So they have a love for the flavors, they have a love for the way we make it, because it's really a labor of love, right? When you cook, it's like Malay say air tangan, the rasa of the air tangan, right? It's hand water.
Yeah.
So I
The chef's touch.
I was going to create my PhD
uh-huh.
also focusing on this, and like the biggest word that comes out is air tangan, and that literally translates to water hand.
Yeah.
But basically, it's like the craft of someone.
Yeah.
I don't know, like when you say in English, the sweat, blood, and tears.
Yeah.
Yes, like the effort of someone.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that is.
You're trying to get that to be transmitted, like all the memories of time with their grandparents, with their family in Malaysia. No matter how far away you're from home, when you're making that food, it connects you. There's a tether. They remember. Oh, you remember this place that we went for laksa with oppa or mato. This is how it tasted like. So that's how for me the preservation of that, making children love Malaysian food so that they use it as part of their identity, as their culture.
In terms of technique, is
Uh-huh.
there one thing or ingredient, right? Like no matter where you go, no matter I have to do it this way. I think it should be done this way and it should not be changed.
For me, it's guna lesung batu, using the pestle and
Pestle and
mortar.
mortar?
I mean, like nowadays,
Why?
I don't know why. I think it's because in my grandmother's house, we used to have. You know how pestle and mortars nowadays, like if you buy it from IKEA, it's like tiny.
Right.
But like my grandmother had one like the size of a bowl, and if you were going to cook for 30 people, you'd be able to pound the chilies and the
All at once.
garlic all at once.
Yeah.
But it takes you 1 hour, but you can do it all at once, and I feel there's just a different flavor. Yeah.
And for me, it's like I can't change to using a blender. So I've actually shipped over my grandma's stones to grind
Wow.
chutneys, dosa flour.
Yeah.
And I've even brought a wok over because I refuse to make dosa, which is the sourdough batter, crepe, if it's not made on the stone. I won't do it. So now I've got it all here.
To give you context to people all around the world, like Americans in general, they will hand down their cast iron pans to their grandchildren. So for us, is the wok or I think the pestle and mortar.
Yeah.
And I think there's also like Fee was talking about relationship with family, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that when you talk about the pestle and mortar, it's so we have a lot of audience in the group. How today? But this is a live audience, so it's a live recording. But yeah, so I think the pestle is called ibu.
Ibu.
It's like mother. Ibu is mother, and so
Ibu
there's that mother and child relationship, even
Yeah.
in naming the pestle and mortar. So I think that is something that is really. Anyways, I should not be talking. So to give you context, for people who don't know me, I used to do radio and I used to do TV, and I'm trying to do this to preserve other people's culture. So my sister told me when I do this podcast, I should not be talking about this. So I will move on to the next question. So this one is, we talked about tradition, right? And now, especially for you as a Le Cordon Bleu graduate and cooking internationally and cooking abroad and seeing so many other different foods around the world, there is this big, huge debate on fusion food. What is your opinion on fusion food, and how do you balance authenticity and innovation in your cooking? Do you do that in the first place? Or what is authenticity to you? Whoa. Fusion food and authenticity? Now that can be quite a touchy subject. But unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this week. Make sure to tune in next week, same time, to catch the next part of our conversation. Before we wrap up, I just want to take a moment to thank the Malaysian Embassy in Helsinki for their incredible support in making this episode happen. And to everyone else, terima kasih and thank you for joining us on yet another episode of The Hungry Immigrant. It's been a delightful feast of stories and flavors that remind us just how much food brings us together. Now don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform so you'll never miss an episode. And if you loved today's culinary journey, leave us a review and share the episode with your friends and family. Your support helps keep our traditions alive and our tables more diverse. Do follow us on Instagram at Hungry Immigrant and my personal account Abang Brian for behind-the-scenes looks and extra tidbits from each episode. We love to see how food inspires you, so do tag us in your next food adventure. I'm Abang Brian, reminding you to savor every bite and cherish every moment at the table. Until next time, keep your plates adventurous and your hearts open.